And we are live. Yay. Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast, The Universe and Me. This is your host, Miss Jaleisha J. If this is your first time watching or listening, thank you for tuning in. If you don't know me, I am an inspirational speaker, spiritual teacher, and I am a self love coach. And I help you challenge your limited beliefs so that you can align and manifest life that you desire. And I help you do this by giving you tools and resources so that you can live a more authentic life. And so I actually am really excited for this episode because I love all things about self-love, okay? Because that's that's the journey I've been on. I think a lot of times when we go through the spiritual journey, you have to incorporate self-love because that's part of the evolution of self. There has to be some type of love for self. And so I definitely am excited about this conversation. We have here Janet Sandberg, who I'm so excited to talk to about self love. Janet, can you introduce yourself and just let everyone know what you do and who you are?
Sure. Thank you. I'm excited to be here too. I love your energy. It's so beautiful.
Thank
Um,
you.
so I am an intuitive coach, which means that I blend all of my intuitive gifts, like being a divine channel and energy master and card reader, with my coaching and mentoring and teaching to help people fall in love with their souls and find soulmate relationships and build the lives that they dream of having.
Yes, to everything. I love all of that. Absolutely. With intuitive coaching, because I believe I also have intuitive gifts. Can you let people know exactly what that entails for those who may not be aware?
Um, yeah, I'm a divine channel, which means that I can tune into both your soul and the universe and
Mm,
channel messages.
mm,
So I can tell you what your soul wants, what your soul needs, what your soul desires, what your soul wants you to do. I can
yeah.
also tell you what spirit would like you to do. Some usually they're aligned, but they're always just a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so messages from your inner energy and your outer energy, let's just
Mm-hmm.
say.
Okay.
So I can translate for you, um, which just helps you move forward and take action that is divinely guided. Um, and then I also do oracle card readings, which is the same thing. It's the universe talking to me in just a different way with different tools. And I'm an energy master, so I'm a Reiki master teacher, and I've been trained in over a dozen different energy healing modalities. So that just means that I work with your energy to help improve the flow for your body, mind, and spirit.
Absolutely beautiful. Okay, so it sounds like you've been doing this a while.
Yes. Yes, I have.
I love it. Let me ask you, Janet, because I always ask my guests because there's always a journey to get to where you are now, as far as trying to help people and bring them some healing and awareness to self. What was your journey to bring you to this space?
Oh gosh, it's been a long one. Um, so the intuitive stuff started right when I was super little. I'm also a medium, which means that I talk to dead people, and that started, when I was really little, but I didn't really know what it was, or so I
Mm-hmm.
just kind of and couldn't talk to anybody or anything, so I shoved it down and ignored it for 30 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was just always interested in that kind of stuff. I started learning about crystals when I was a teenager, and um, I'm old, so this was like pre-internet. So you had to go find books, and there was nobody to teach you because it's a weird thing that not too
Yeah.
many people know about. As I got older and this all of this stuff became more readily available and more people were talking about it and doing it, then I really dove in. So I was in my 30s before I really kind of went head over heel down the rabbit hole of learning about spirituality and energy and all of the things. And
Mm-hmm.
then my life fell apart. So then you start doing it for different reasons.
Yeah.
And, I was learning about it primarily for me, and just because I was interested in it. And then I realized how much it was helping me and get through all of my stuff, which was, in a nutshell, I was in an emotionally abusive marriage, which then
Mm,
ended. My sister had cancer twice and passed away. My dad had cancer twice, and then my mom had dementia. And through all of that, I was trying to raise my two kids who were teenagers at the time, when their dad and I split. um, we split to different countries. So
mm,
it was me 24/7, and trying to deal with all of these other, family of origin traumas.
mhm.
So yeah, it was a really rough go for a lot of years. So um, I realized how much this stuff was helping me and that I could use it to help other people. And I'm like, I don't want anyone else who's struggling to do it by themselves the way that I did for a lot of it. So that's kind of why I started doing what I'm doing.
Gratitude to you for accepting the journey, because this is every healer I talk to, every person that takes this journey, normally we have to go through we go through some difficult things, some
Mhm,
difficult transitions. And so to decide to live this life of wanting to help others so that they don't have to go through the same experiences or handle trying experiences in the same way that we may have, with
mhm.
better tools and knowledge of self. Bravo to you, Janet. So thank you for showing up in that capacity, because we need more of y'all.
We
we,
we
we
do.
we do. So the title of the episode is "The Best Love is Self Love," and you are an intuitive coach. And I just wonder, what is your definition of self love?
It's hard to pinpoint. But I spent after I split is separated from my ex-husband.
Mm,
I that was, after being in an emotionally abusive marriage for so many years. I I had no self-love at all. I had been, beaten down and told that I was not good enough for so many years that I believed it.
mm,
Um, so it took me a long time to understand what that even meant. Like, even the concept was so foreign. And it's more than just, manicures and bubble baths, and like that's taking care of ourselves, going for
yeah,
massages, doing nice things for ourselves. But
yeah.
that's like everyday, top of the pile kind of stuff. Like, that's the very beginning of it. But
Mhm,
loving ourselves for who we are and getting to that point where we can say that I am worthy and I matter, and
mm,
it doesn't matter what anybody else says.
mm,
And so if I would have some sort of interaction with somebody, especially with my ex, and those feelings would come up again at the beginning, and this is how I recognize my own growth. At the beginning, it would just send me right back,
mhm,
and I'd have to start all over again.
mhm,
And then over time, you sort of realize that by listening to your soul, by following what she wants,
mm,
that's where you get to that point where you're just like, no, this is me. And
mm,
if you don't love me for who I am, and if I don't love me for who I am,
mhm,
nothing else matters, because
mhm,
I'm not going anywhere.
mhm,
This is just who I am. And there's lots of character things we can change. That doesn't mean that, if we're being mean, we can stop being mean, like that's human stuff.
mhm,
But on a soul level, we are magical, wonderful, beautiful people. And we need to embody and embrace that and let that show, let that lead.
Yes. I
And
love that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go
no,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, no, I apologize because you were doing amazing because I just loved all of it, especially about the soul, like letting her come through, letting her speak, letting her hearing her, being connected with the soul, letting the soul be heard. Because I think, and even on my own journey, I was resonating with you because, and you said you come out of an abusive marriage, and most of my relationships in the past were emotionally and mentally abusing, and so that's what led me on my self-love journey because I was just like I'm kind of really tired of feeling or attracting or aligning to this type of energy, and I'm
Hmm.
tired of being treated this way.
Hmm.
And so it was more so an aha moment of, you know, my worth has to mean so much. Like I have to see myself on this whole other level as far as what I'm deserving. And aside from anyone else, it's just me. I have to put myself on a pedestal, and I have to see myself as absolutely worthy, absolutely enough. And that takes time,
Hmm.
especially if you've come from situations that have been harmful and destructive to your self-esteem. And so I just loved your whole description about what self-love is because it I think society or maybe social media has a way of showing that it's about looking pretty and and getting your hair and your nails done or having a perfect body, or to have the fresh makeup or just looking great. And
Hmm.
that's not what self-love is about. Self-love, I mean, that's self-care. I think that's more self-care,
Yeah.
like taking care of
Yeah.
yourself, pleasing yourself. But self-love goes deeper because it's just really about, showing up authentically as
Hmm.
yourself and realizing and recognizing your worth. Because if you know your worth, my personal belief is that if you know your worth, then you teach others how to treat you as well.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
I agree. So I wanted to ask you, since we know the definition of self love, when you see how society is kind of, I don't know if it's just society or maybe it's just social media, but social media has this thing with, you know, the pretty, the perfect, the illusion of what self love really is. Why do you think it's imperative that we are speaking or telling the truth about what it actually is?
I think just for that reason, because if we want to help people, which we do,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's important to know that it's more than that. That we are more than that.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, self care is good, and feeling good on the outside is important too.
Yes, of
It
course,
we want to feel good about ourselves
of course.
and look nice and take care of ourselves, but it's more than that.
Mhm.
And we hear the word authentic. People use that word a lot.
Yes.
Not calling you out at all.
It's okay.
No, just because you just used it.
Yes.
And it gets twisted a lot.
Yes.
And people don't really know what that means anymore.
Yes.
That it's about you being you
Yes.
deep down. It's
Mhm.
you bearing your soul. It's
Mhm.
you taking down the walls.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
and there's a lot of people claiming to be authentic on social media, and there are still a whole lot of walls up, and they are not, letting people in. They're not really, they're holding back.
Yeah.
And um, to really be authentic and have authentic relationships and form relationships in whatever form that is, with your family, with your friends, with a partner, just having those people around you who know you and love you and support you for who you are
Mm.
on a deep soul level. Like
Mhm.
that's what life is all about.
I
And the more we can do that, like we've just lost that altogether everywhere. And especially, not to be political, but the two shootings that happened recently in the US where
Mhm.
people just showed up at the wrong house. Like what what is what is happened? Like people, we don't have a connection with each other as people, as humans, as
Mm.
souls.
Mm.
we need to bring that back and have more of that and counter all of this craziness that's out there, um, with our light. That's, you know, it's
I
that's what we're here for.
I agree, Janet. The two shootings, I was talking to a girlfriend about this earlier because I sent her because I saw another shooting that happened with there was a young girl, a young
Mhm.
20-year-old. I think that's
Yeah,
maybe what you're talking about as well,
yeah,
that was shot because they pulled into the wrong driveway this past weekend, and then the young teenager boy that was shot picking up his siblings or trying to pick up his siblings, and he went to the wrong door. And I was talking to my girlfriend today and she was like, "What's going on?" Like, she's just like, "What's happening?" Like it seems like the world is going mad. And
yeah.
I just feel personally that what you said, it just sums everything up. We're like disconnected completely. We've kind of disassociated from real connection, from just being just having like I don't know what changed. I mean, there's always been, there's not always never just been just greatness all around, but there's
Right.
just it's like there's been this complete just disconnect. And I know social media is going to be here, but I also attribute a lot of it to social media because it's built up this barrier for people to really have connections, and people have an idea what like being authentic is. And like you said, I don't think people really know what that is,
Mhm,
and that they don't know how to really show up as their true self, as like who they really are, and be okay with that. It's really hard to watch. So I don't know. That's why it's so important that we have these conversations because we need to.
mhm. We
Um,
do.
Oh, so a commenter said he says totally agree. Definitely a disconnection somewhere. There's definitely a disconnection, my niece. It's just a lot going on. I don't normally like to plug into social media or the news because it's so heavy, the energy.
Mhm,
But these last few days I'm hearing all this stuff come out and I'm like, this is just the most random, like just talking to someone, communicating with someone is just going out the window.
mhm,
Just making just a sentence. Just talk to someone, see who this person is before your mind goes somewhere else. But when you live in a place where it's everything thrives on fear,
mhm,
this is what happens. It gets more chaos, unfortunately.
mhm. And I think a lot of that, was made worse by the pandemic, because we were all locked inside. We lost what little human connection we still had left with other people. And I think people have just become so isolated, we kind of forget that other people are also people,
Yes.
and everybody, and just, and we could go on and on about
Yeah.
how bad the pandemic was for a lot of reasons. Um, but yeah, it's, I think, and this is going like way out there, but in the grand scheme of things, we're kind of at this point in universal history where it's very much, um, like the pendulum has swung to the side of fear and
Mhm.
everything that goes with it, and we need to bring it back to love, because
Yes.
those are basically the two primal forces of
Mhm.
energy. We have fear and
Mhm.
we have love, the
Mhm.
light and the dark.
Mhm.
And light workers, as a lot of us are referred to, like that's our job in the world, is to lead with love, to make people realize. And there's so many more of us coming out of the woodwork, and people recognizing that they have not even just intuitive gifts, there's a lot of that as well.
Mhm.
And light workers tend to be people who work with energy and that kind of thing. But it's even just the people who are out there making a difference in the world
Yeah.
and leading with their authentic souls and showing love to people. And there's more of us coming out, and that's the only way that we can get back to just being souls on this planet together.
Yes, I absolutely agree. When you were saying the pendulum has shifted, I always think that we're kind of so much in patriarchy. We're so much in the like we're overly masculine in the world, and that it
Mm-hmm.
does need to shift back to the space of love, which I look like I identify that as the feminine energy, divine feminine, and just the nourishing, the openness, the compassion. And it does take more of us to come to awaken to show that there's another way of being.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we see all these things going on, it can well, for me personally, I'm like, oh gosh, oh gosh. But then I know that's why the work is needed, that it doesn't end, that you have to keep showing up. You have to keep pouring out that love because it's so needed. I think you're right about the pandemic. It made things it just shifted a lot of different things, and it forced a lot of people to be inside, to face themselves in ways they probably didn't want to have to face, or maybe, just uncomfortability,
Mm-hmm.
and shifting back into something else. I think something has changed, and we're needed more than ever, and love is needed more than ever. So I absolutely agree with you. I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
ask you, Janet, as far as when we talk about self-love, if someone comes to you, like, how does someone know that they're struggling with self-love?
Just because they're struggling with everything else.
Yeah.
Self love is the foundation. We can't go out there in the world and spread love if we don't love ourselves.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
it is the first, deepest foundation of
Mhm.
everything that we do.
Mhm.
And it's it's not even, sometimes it's a lack of self love. Sometimes it's just, again, that disconnect with ourselves,
Mhm.
which leads to disconnect with everybody else. Like, we have to know who we are first before we can know or be anything else. So if your life is falling apart, or if things just, it feels like you're walking uphill through mud all the time,
Mhm.
it's because you're not connected, you're not aligned with your soul, with the universe.
Yeah.
Like, we're here, and when we're connected, everything flows, everything's easy. If you're struggling, it's because we're disconnected. Oh, hey,
Yes.
my daughter's name is Mika.
Oh,
Love
wow.
that.
Alignment. That's so
Yeah.
I love that too. That's like so random but synchronicity, alignment. I love that. But you're absolutely right. It means it's a disconnection from ourselves. And something you've been speaking about when you say the soul, like I equate that to just like the guy within, like our intuition.
Mhm.
And a lot of times when we are disconnected from ourselves, we can't trust ourselves, right? So we can't even be in tune to our gifts, to just us at our core. We're so disassociated from that, and that is one of the key clear signs that I know when someone is struggling with self-love, because they don't even trust themselves. They're always
Mhm.
seeking, they're always looking, they're always needing something outside of themselves to validate or to affirm who they are, or they put themselves in situations that don't affirm or don't validate,
Yes.
because it's could be harmful in a lot of different ways. So I love that when you're speaking about the soul, because if you don't have a connection with yourself, like the God within the soul, your intuition, you are separate from yourself. You
Mhm.
you truly are.
Yeah.
Oh, look, Mika says, "Oh my God, I got on this live for a reason. Being disconnected from self and not being in touch with self. Ooh wee, Mika. Ooh wee, ooh wee." So let me ask you, Janet. So what does someone need to do to be more in alignment, to get back to connection with self?
So what I started with
Hmm.
was figuring out what made me feel joy, what made me happy.
Hmm.
And I remember a coach that I was working with at the time years ago, she asked me that question. She was like, "What brings you joy?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, I don't understand the question." Like, what do you mean? What joy? Me? Huh?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
there's
yeah,
no joy in my life. What are you
yeah,
talking about?
yeah.
And I was so disconnected that, like, I was like, I don't know. Like, I couldn't think of a single thing. And so it's very slowly starting to explore those things and watching yourself, observing your reactions
Mhm.
to what you do on a daily basis and
Mhm.
how you feel throughout the day. And when
Mhm.
you find the things that make you feel good, you steer yourself and you do more of those things.
Yes.
And when it can be something super easy, like putting on music when you're doing your chores, like when you're washing dishes or folding laundry, like if that makes you feel good, there's no reason why you didn't. But sometimes we just don't, we're
Mhm.
stuck in our thoughts or we're stuck in a mood when the easy fix is, oh, throw on some music while I knock out these chores and get them done. And by the time I'm done, I'll feel good for two reasons. One, because the music has elevated me. Two, because I got shit done.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
and sometimes it's just that easy, but it's first of all recognizing that, oh, music makes me feel good.
Mhm.
So I'm going to include more music in my life or whatever it is. Um, so it sounds too simple, but that's really where I had to start because
Yeah.
I was so disconnected. I didn't know what I liked, what I didn't like. And I really had to start relearning all of that and going back and remembering, like, okay, as a kid, what did I like? What made me happy?
Mhm.
Because a lot of those things are still the same.
Yes,
So,
I agree. I
yeah.
agree completely. Mika says the disconnection comes from not knowing what you need or want. That's where I struggle. It's like I know what I want, but reaching it is a struggle. But definitely working on it, and music definitely helps all the time. Thank you, Mika, for sharing. I would say everything Janet said was on point, and I also would say show yourself grace and show
Mhm.
yourself kindness because it takes time and be
Yes.
patient with yourself. The habits that we create every day, even the little things, they matter in the long run. And so,
Yes.
one thing you said earlier, and I always say this to my clients, like when I first start with them, I always ask them, "What does joy look like for them? Like, what is joy? What does that mean for you?" And and what you said, a lot of them like they don't even know what they don't even associate with that. Like they don't even know what that looks like. And I always have them go back to a feeling that brings them peace. What aligns to your peace?
Mhm.
What aligns to, you feeling content? What brings you contentment? And when they start peeling back those layers and they find out, because a lot of times what I realize, and I'm jumping over, a lot of times they say they want certain things, but that want changes once we pull back the layers to figure out what exactly brings them peace and joy. Because they may say, I want to lose weight because I want to look, I have body confidence issues. But when we pull back the layers, it's really, I really want to feel confident within myself because I lack self esteem or I lack self confidence
Mhm.
because of some trauma that's happened or some painful experience. And so what I really need is to like myself, just not just my body, but just myself in general. I need to like me. And so a lot of times we get confused about the wants and the needs, and I
Mhm.
would just say focus on the joy. Focus on just finding the little things and building on that because you'll get to the root of what you need and what versus what you want. I hope that makes sense.
Yes. Made sense to me. But we're kind of on the same page. So hopefully it
Okay,
makes sense
cool.
to other
Yes.
people.
Yes, yes. I hope it makes sense to everybody else. Omika's comments. Okay, I love this. I teach my kids by saying be gentle with yourself. And I had a friend that said that it is not possible. Almost got in my head, but my soul knows you have to be gentle with yourself. Thank you both. You're so welcome. Yes, you gotta be gentle with yourself. Yes, yes,
Absolutely.
yes. I
Treat
I
yourself the same way you would treat other people.
mhm,
And that's
mhm,
that's still a hard one. That's the thing I'm still learning. Like I would happily, make a gourmet meal for my husband or my kids or some other friend, but am I going to spend that time and do it for myself? No.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
something like that. And but that extends to, it's not just about the cooking. It's so many other things, like making an effort for yourself,
yes,
and
yes.
it's the same thing, being gentle with yourself, being compassionate with yourself. If you've gotten this far in life, however far you've gotten, you need compassion, you know? And you're the first person it should come from.
Most definitely. Absolutely, Janet. Because just to piggyback, like we like what you're saying, we give to so many other people. but who is like pouring into us? We have to be, we set the standard. I always tell people we set the standard for how we want to be treated, how we want to be loved, how we want to be seen. And so we have to make sure we're pouring into our cup. And I think a lot of people, and I don't have children, but I think those who are mothers, they have this thing where, I have to put my children first, I put my husband first, but then who's taking care of you? Who's making sure that you're okay? You have to also make sure that you're pouring into your cup. And the good thing about this is that when you do pour into your cup, you do those little things that add to big things later. You're giving so much love more to your family in that essence. You're giving pure love. You're giving, instead of giving something from a drained energy, from a depleted place, you're giving it from a wholeness, which is so much different.
Yeah.
And it's so necessary. So I just wanted to add that. And my niece, I love that you guys are commenting, yo. I
This
love
is
that.
amazing. Love it. Yeah.
He says he struggles with giving grace sometimes. It seems to be a line where I feel undisciplined and it starts to attack my confidence and even faith at some point. Hmm, this is good. Um, I would say that for me, what I normally do, because I have had places of the self-critic. It's the voice within that tells you that you're not good enough, or that it gives you all these negative things. You have to you For me, I breathe. I do a lot of breathing. I do a lot of honoring where the discomfort is in the body. So when I feel those energies of like I'm struggling or I'm feeling not worthy, I do a lot of breathing exercises and checking where that tension and that pain resides in my body, because it's somewhere residing somewhere. And I check in with myself, because a lot of times what we're thinking is actually truth. It's not truth, but it's something that's being pulled from like maybe a past memory, a past pain. And we just need to honor that feeling, like honor it, but don't allow it to take control of you. And so, and I send love. Do you have something about that, Janet?
Yeah. Well, also, the feeling undisciplined, and a lot of that is just, us being taught that,
Mm,
we're not allowed to rest, that life is a struggle,
yeah.
that, we just muscle through the pain and the discomfort instead of, and I think that that narrative is changing. Um,
Uh,
where we're starting to learn that when we honor ourselves, if we take the time, like you said, to feel the feels, then we actually get further in the long run by pausing to acknowledge them, to rest, to take care of ourselves, to give ourselves that grace. It actually propels us forward further than if we just like muscled through it.
we don't always have to be on point all the time, and we don't always have to be ready to show up. Sometimes it's you have to honor what you're feeling, and you have to honor the ebbs and flows of things. And even if you can't show up in your full capacity, that does not mean anything less of who you are and what you are. But honor yourself, honor those feelings. They're there for a reason, they're coming up for a reason. And they should be, it doesn't equate to anything that what you're trying to put out is that it's less, or that you should be critiquing of yourself. Just honor them. Just honor them, which takes time. I'm saying, making it
Mhm.
sound easy, because it's
Yeah,
not.
it's a practice
It's a
for
practice.
sure.
It's a practice. But the more you do it, the more you can build habits that you won't have to feel that you're self-destructing in a way. You're more building. I like to say I have my own toolbox. So when things come up, I can use my toolbox. I use my breathing exercises. I sit with myself. I honor myself. I acknowledge my feelings. I'm really learning my emotions now, because I wasn't emotional before, but I'm learning to
Same.
sit with my emotions, and it's uncomfortable because I'm not that person, but I'm becoming that person. And so it's been a journey for me. So it's not easy, but develop a toolbox. Develop your own personal toolbox that can help move you forward, so you don't feel that you shouldn't, that the days that you have to stop, or the days that you're not doing everything you think you need to do, that you're not so hard on yourself. You have to show yourself love. That's how we move forward.
Mhm.
But Janet, okay, this is good conversation. I love all of it. I
It
wanted to
is.
ask you, so as far as everything that you do, and just self love, is there an example as far as, if someone were to come to you, if it's a mother, if it's a young single? Oh, no, no, I'm going to stop this because you said something earlier. I want to pick it back on. You said something about soulmates. And
Mhm.
so I just want to know what that is about.
So a soulmate in the way that I define it, not in the Hollywood, oh, he's my soulmate and it's all rainbows and puppy dogs and, that sort of thing. So a soulmate is somebody who loves you, respects you, encourages you unconditionally. They
Mm,
care about you, they see you for who you really are, and they love you anyways.
mm,
But they also push you and challenge you to be your best self.
mhm,
So, they will pick you up when you fall, but they'll be like, and keep going. They'll just put you right back on that horse because they see the divine in you, they see your soul, and they know what your potential is. So, those people can be partners, they can be friends, they can be family members. We can find them anywhere. Sometimes they are only in our lives for a short period of time, sometimes they stick around for the whole time. Um, but those relationships are really the foundation of building the life that you want. If you don't have unconditional love and support and somebody who sees you as the divine being that you are, it's so much harder to go through life.
mm,
You need those people to, like I said, pick you up when you fall because you're not always going to see yourself as the divine being as you are.
mhm.
So you need somebody else to see that, to remind you of the amazingness that you can have and that you are. So
Yeah.
step one is loving yourself, loving your soul, letting your soul lead. Step two is bringing in those people, because as long as we have those walls up and we're not being our true selves, we can't find those relationships. And then once we have those pieces, then everything else, all the good stuff starts happening.
I do agree because and I'll say my niece says first, accountability feels different with those type of relationships for sure. Yes, they
Hmm.
do, but it's like it's a good accountability, right? Because you finally have someone that's seeing you for who you are, and and it's all from a place of love because they want to see you, be your best self, or be, your most authentic version of yourself. And so that requires you to show up differently, and
Hmm.
that also requires for them to show up differently. But
Hmm.
those are relationships that you grow, and those are
Yes.
relationships that help you really, really evolve into your best self.
Hmm.
And like you were saying, soulmates are not just relationships, it's friendships, it could be family as well. And I do know, I will say for myself, the evolution of self-love is evident in the relationships that we have. It's evident in like the connections that we have, because it's all a reflection of self. And
Hmm.
so I do know when I started my self-love journey, I still had like a lot of self-sabotage with, especially with men. And I had a lot of abandonment issues. So I would say I wanted my soulmate. I want my person that gets me. I want my person that sees me. And I would date a lot of men who were, wanting to be stable and secure, and because I was afraid, and because my wounds, I had not, done the actual work on the wounds, I ran from those relationships, or I self-sabotaged those experiences because I wasn't aware of my own
Hmm.
stuff. And
Hmm.
so doing deeper work on me and on working on myself, just pouring more love into myself, really validating, why I'm worthy of having those things, because it's a desire of mine, but I just didn't believe the worth. I didn't believe
Hmm.
that. And so I had to give myself more time. And so I just say that to anyone, it's a reason these people come into your life. Certain people are here to show you something about yourself. These are like
Hmm.
the blessed relationships. I love them. Friendships as well, because I want friends around me that are going to tell me the truth.
Yeah.
Like, I want friends around me that are pushing me to be better. I want friends around me that are motivating me to be my best self, that are inspiring me.
Mhm.
That's what I desire, and because I know that's how I want to show up, that's or how I show up. And so, you to have people around that's reflecting your growth is absolutely amazing. Um, and that's just the effort of self. That's all it is. It's just the effort of how much you're pouring into self, how much you're
Mhm.
showing up for yourself. The universe is like, okay, so you've done this, so let me just go ahead and show you or bring this person into your life because you elevated. So
Mhm.
yeah, I love it. Yeah. I just love the work, man. I love the work. Let me ask you, so with soulmates, since you work with clients in this way, how do you get people to a place where they're ready to, or they feel that they're ready to either, I guess, align to a person that they want to experience life with, or friendship? How do you help them realize that or get to a space?
Um, well, that's the magic, really,
Mm,
and that's where all of the intuitive stuff that I talked about before comes in, where
mhm,
I'm sort of translating for their soul, and I'm
mm.
reading their energy and reading the universal energy, and getting them to understand and be able to talk to their own souls. So, of course, that's the goal, is that they
Yeah.
don't need me forever. Um, Yeah, and then you just know when they're there, because then it just starts happening.
Mhm.
Once they find that space of loving themselves, of taking down the walls, of not being afraid of who they are and what they want, um, then yeah, it just happens.
It flows. It's like a
Mhm.
gateway that opens. It's like a
Exactly.
dam has been broken. It's like
Yeah.
the water, the floods come. It really is, because it's like, aha, okay. Like it's very enlightening. I love doing the work, and so I love the when a client comes to awareness of like, oh, okay, that's what's going on. That's what's happening. This is what I need to do
Mhm.
to work on. So yes, all of it. My niece, you've been going with these comments. I
You're
love it.
still here. That's
Yes.
awesome.
Which is great. Thank you. He says worth also made start to reflect and reaffirm what things are worthy of my desire. So I believe he says his worth has also made him start to reflect and reaffirm what things are worthy of his desire. I love that. I
Mhm.
love that. Because and what I will say is that every connection is just giving us clarity about, especially if you're dating or whatnot. It's just giving you clarity about what you do and do not want, what you're worthy of, what you're ready for, what you're willing, you're just finding out who you are. These connections are bringing forth like the greatest teaching moments for yourself. um, I, after doing a lot of healing work and forgiveness work and heart chakra work, I can look back at every connection I've been with and have so much gratitude and love, even for the painful ones, even for the ones that broke my heart, even for the ones that had me screaming and crying and begging, because they were my greatest teachers. Like I could not be in this space
Mhm.
if I did not if I didn't have those experiences. I just could not. And while we're in it, it's painful or it's discomfort, or we feel like, why is this happening to me? I just always feel like everything happens, and I hate to sound cliche. Everything happens for a reason. Like it's not something I'm being punished or that I'm not worthy. It's just more so these lessons are here
Mhm.
to bring me to more of a deeper understanding of myself and more of a growth within. And so if you're willing to do the journey, like, the
Mhm.
universe is not gonna leave you out. Like, I don't believe that in any shape,
Mhm.
way, or form. The more you do whatever you're doing as far as, you know, uplifting yourself, loving on yourself, the more you're opening yourself to the goodness to come in. And so
Mhm.
that's my belief.
Yeah, I agree.
Yay. Okay, so I don't know. This has been a great conversation. I
It
wanted to
has.
just it has really, it's been heartwarming for me. I wanted to ask you, Janet, if there is advice, because I know that you've come from marriage and you've had children, for women or even men who struggle with prioritizing themselves, or you know, just putting themselves first or finding time for themselves. Do you have any advice on how they can start building habits of self love?
Um, just do it. Um, like and just make the decision and do it and let everybody else deal with it however they're going to deal with it. You know,
Mm,
don't ask permission to spend time with and for yourself. So if
that's
you
good.
want to take a painting class because that brings you joy, announce it and be
Mhm.
like, I'm going to be going to a painting class on Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock. Um, Figure it out, you know, like, and if your family really loves you, they will, you know, they'll be like, oh, okay. And you know, you can explain why and just be like, I need to do this for myself. I need to spend time nurturing my soul, or whatever words you choose to use. But yeah, don't tiptoe around it.
Mhm.
Um, and that's also just like my personality. I'm very direct, and that's just me. I'm just like, look, this is what's happening. This is how, you know,
What is your
this
sign?
is it. I'm a Gemini.
You're a Gemini. Oh, okay. Oh, I mean, that still makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah. um, yeah. So, but yeah, just make the decision and do it. And even you can even start, you know, obviously with things that don't involve the rest of the family. You know, when you
Mhm.
naturally have time, if you have any without them anyways, then just do things for yourself in a meaningful, conscious way.
I love it. Just do it. That's it. Just do it. And
Do it.
it can feel uncomfortable at first, but I'm telling you, the more that you actually go, like the more you do it, the more it gets easier.
Mhm.
But the uncomfortability, the finding the time and the little moments. I always say that I love to create self-love rituals. So I have self-love rituals, and my self-love ritual is very kind of basic, but I need it every day, or I'm kind of off. So like for me, I get up in the morning, I pray, I meditate, I do gratitude, I write in my journal. I am listening to music, whatever mood I'm in, and then I dance for like maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And I just shake what my mama gave me, and I, and then I just suit myself just to see how I'm feeling. I check in with myself, and I set intentions for how I want to feel that day, or what do I want to experience that day, and I just make it a goal to align with that energy. And so that to me is very simple. Sometimes I may have a bath. I may just need to relax. I may need to just shut down and unwind and just be. But I would say create your self love ritual. Find out what works for you. Like just little things that you can give yourself. Not, it doesn't have to be this huge thing of like, I got to make sure I give myself 30, 40 an hour. Just create what works for you. Even if you
Mhm.
can, like another way I do things, I love to go hiking. I love nature. To me, that's pouring into myself. That is giving myself time to recharge, rejuvenate, give myself time to think and just to pour so much love in myself. So find your self-love ritual and take things out, add things in, but find what works for you. My niece is he got something. I love this. He says, "Is it hard to discuss new boundaries you may have or new things you want to do for yourself with your husband, or is it understanding that he has already?" Asking Janet if that's okay. Yes, that's
um,
okay.
yeah, of course it's okay. Um, with with my current husband, no, it's not hard. We both have that understanding. We both went through really terrible marriages, so like, you know, we learned a lot, and we are, you know, um, we are very much a soulmate pairing now. So it's just understood that we need to take care of ourselves, and we learned that through our last marriages where we
Mhm.
didn't and couldn't. Um, and even I will say, even, you know, my first husband, as as weird as he was, if I said I need to do this thing, he he was okay with that.
Mm,
But I do know that it can be a struggle, and sometimes people don't understand. Like when you're changing habits, where you're like, I've been here all for you all this time, and now I want to do something for me. Um, yeah, having that conversation where you have to sort of explain that I'm not really taking a step away from you, but I am focusing on me so that I can be a better version of me and I can be more for you. But they have to take that step of faith
mm.
and allow it to happen so that they can see that result at the end. Um, and it's going to take time. It's not immediate, but once you start spending more time for yourself, with yourself, and growing, and hopefully they'll be able to see that you're more of you and more of who they love, and
Mm.
you have more love and patience and time for them because you're taking those moments for yourself.
I hope that was helpful, my niece. That was really good, Janet. I was gonna back up and ask you, because you even said with your husband, you don't even have that issue now, like, or you wouldn't, you because you guys communicate, you're able
Hmm.
to speak, and so I think that's like a key thing as far as communication. You have to be able to be seen and be heard. So and that's the soulmate relationship.
Hmm.
That's the difference with the soulmate relationship as well. I absolutely agree. I love the topic about boundaries because boundaries ties into self-love.
Hmm.
And so that people that disassociate when we talked about this earlier, like what is actual self-love. But I just want to say this and it'll probably be done, but we'll keep going or we'll see what happens. But boundaries is key because it really shows other people how they should show up and treat you or
Hmm.
how you want to be treated. And it's not just for self, but it's also their boundaries as well. And if you haven't had the experience of being around others who implement boundaries or who know, they're able to speak up for themselves, it can be a shocker or awakening when you start when you
Hmm.
start having to either when you're around people like that or you're starting to have to speak up for yourself because you may not feel comfortable, you may not feel safe to do so.
Hmm.
I think it's the as a person that's a former people pleaser and a person that's a former no boundaries, I would say that having boundaries or start creating boundaries has been one of the hardest things for me, but it has also been such a relief because I am now like woosahing because I'm like I don't have to do things I don't want to do, and I'm not
Hmm.
going to go against what I really want. And even dating or talking to people or hanging out, like I'm going to honor myself because that shows how much the love is for self.
Hmm.
But that initial beginning is uncomfortable as hell if you're not used to it.
Yep. Yeah. Self-love is self-respect, or self-respect is self-love, whichever way that goes.
It
Or
is.
it goes both
Both
ways.
it goes both ways. It is what it is. Self-respect is self-love, and that's what really self-love is, y'all. It's really like how you wanna be treated, how you're showing up for yourself, how you are, making sure you're like your number one cheerleader, your protector, the person that's in your corner. Like you have to be that first person. That's really what self-love is. Well, to me it is.
Mhm.
But Janet, I thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions for Janet? Because she's been so amazing, spreading all her wisdom, all her knowledge, all this good energy.
This has been such a fun conversation. I've loved it.
It's
And I loved having, people listening and participating live. That's been awesome.
yes, that's been amazing. And if you guys want to follow Janet or get in connection with Janet, um, she has her own website, www.janetsandberg.com. Can they connect and book a session with you
Yeah.
or?
Yeah.
Mhm.
All the info is there, and all the links to my social media, and everything's on my Facebook too.
Yeah, yes, and then we also have her IG, so make sure you follow her on IG, Janet Sandberg, period, intuitive. follow her. She is an intuitive coach. So you're getting someone that is working with her natural spiritual gifts that is helping you get connected to your soul, the divineness of your soul. And how amazing is that? Oh, someone is saying thank you both so much. You're welcome, my niece.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here with us.
Thank you. I'm grateful for anyone who is listening and watching. Andy says, will this be available to listen to from the beginning? Thank you for the question, Andy. Yes. So once this is over, the live will be available wherever you're watching. And if you want to listen to it, it will be available on all streaming platforms on Friday, but it will be available as soon as this is done. You can be able to watch the replay, of course. So thank you. And my niece says it's very warm and insightful.
Oh, thank
Yay.
you.
Very glad for that. So, is there anything that any parting last words that you'd like to add, Janet, or anything at all?
Um, I, what I usually say is that, if you are struggling and if life is not all ease and flow, um, it's never too late to start loving yourself. It's never too late to start discovering your soul, and just know that it gets better when you do the work and when you take the time and you have compassion for yourself. It does get better.
I say it does get better. It does get better. People are afraid of the work, but the work is look, the work opens you up to so much more, to so much more. Like I, we all have our journeys, and those who will watch this later or listen to it, Janet shared her journey. We all have journeys to get to this point to where we are currently. So we're like vessels, we're tools to show it's possible. What you wants you to. So you just, gotta plug in and want to do the work. So
Yeah.
yay. Thank you, Janet. So, for those who have tuned in or are going to listen to this later, thank you so much. I always just say what you wants you to, but you have to be willing to take the necessary steps to move forward in that desire. And this platform is just giving you tools and resources to be able to plug into the deeper side of you. And so I hope this episode was very enlightening. It was enlightening to my spirit and my soul. So I'm so very grateful for you, Janet. And thankful to everyone that listened. And I just hope everyone have a good night and good day, good week. And until next time, peace.